What's going on, guys? Back at you guys with another presentation. Today is Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025. In this presentation, guys, I want to talk to you guys about um, working hard. I'm not against working hard, guys, but can't we admit that success is not just about working hard? I repeat, success is not just about working hard, guys. People who became successful, whether it was the fact they had a talent, whether it was the fact that they knew certain people, whether it was the fact that they looked a certain way, or they just came from a financially well off background, there are certain people who had factors in their favor which made it easy for them to execute success. Um, a lot of people talk about just grind, 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 work hard, work hard. I'm all for working hard. I'm all for putting forth work ethic. But I will say we cannot deny the fact that certain people had things within their favor that made it easy for them to become successful. Look at Jeremy Meeks. What hard work did he put in to become successful? None. This man became a multi-millionaire all because of what he looked like and married a baddie all because of what he looked like. So that right there defutes the whole idea of working hard. It's nothing wrong with working hard. There's nothing wrong with staying on your purpose. There's nothing wrong with grinding. There's nothing wrong with any of those things. But um, I feel a man's motivation in life should be money. Money is the motivation. That's what my dad always tells me. Money is the motivation because with money, it will give you avenues to escape certain fields of sadness and despair. With money, you could take a vacation that'll brighten up your world. With money, you go stay at a nice little suite somewhere. With money, you can treat yourself. So money is the motivation, and that should be every man's motivation. If money is not your motivator, then I don't know what's wrong with your brain, because money is everything. My father even told me this. Working hard is a good thing, guys. I believe in working hard, but if you don't have a certain skill set, or if you don't have the IQ for certain things, or if you just don't have the looks, it can hinder you from achieving success. And a lot of people like to make it seem like their success is strictly based on working hard and busting their behind. They'll never swallow their pride. A lot of these successful people, they'll never swallow their pride and admit, well, I had certain things that was in my favor. I had certain factors that was in my favor, and it made it easy for me to become a success. Because some people did not have to work hard for success, guys. Some people just look a certain way. They got rich because they look good to people. Some people got rich because they just had a talent, a skill set that not many people could ever master. It's just a raw, unfiltered talent that they possessed. And they were able to execute and become successful off of that. Um, Working hard is not necessarily the key to becoming successful. Working hard is like when working hard is good, but when you already have what it takes to succeed, you don't have to work as hard. It's like if you're a person who has a knack for academics, you're not going to have to study as hard as the next person. Matter of fact, you probably won't have to. There are some students who don't have to study at all because they have a knack for what they're doing. Um, Everybody is just not cut out for certain things, and a lot of people won't admit that I became successful because I had factors in my favor that was out of my control. Most people will try to make you believe that I became successful on my own merit, and there were no outside forces to why I was able to achieve what I was trying to achieve. A lot of people will want you to believe that I became successful just because I grind and I worked hard. That's not always the key. That's not always the key. There are plenty of people who are very successful, you know, and it's not because they necessarily had what it took. They just knew the right people or they came from money. Like there are people in the music industry who they're not the most talented, but they have a music career because of who their parents were or who they had a connection with, which made it easy for them to get signed and get into the industry. And there are people out there who have real, raw, unfiltered talent who will never be able to get a shot in the music industry because they don't have the connections that could get them famous. So life is not about necessarily working hard. It's all about having the right connections and having the right skill set. If you got the right connections and the right skill set, you don't got to work as hard. You really don't. Because I used to want to believe that people who are very successful became very successful because they worked really, really hard. Not everybody works really, really hard. And that's what some of these successful people won't tell you. They won't tell you that I didn't work really, really hard to get to where I'm at. Most of them won't tell you that I already had the skill set. Just like great athletes, there's some like, there are some great athletes. They didn't necessarily have to work hard to where they're at because they already had the skill set. They already had the talent to be an athlete. Without skill set and without talent and without having the right connections, you could work as hard as you want to and you'll just be running in place. You won't be going anywhere. And this is why you got some people who bust they behind, grind their whole life, and they never get to where they really want to be in life because they didn't have the skill set or the IQ or they didn't know the right people. They just didn't have the odds in their favor, as I like to say. They didn't have the right odds in their favor. They had the odds against them. And that's why it was hard for them to become successful. So I want people to understand that working hard and grinding is great. But don't think just because you busting your behind that you're gonna be a multimillionaire. Because there are people who did not work hard at all who are rich. But they had the right criterias. Whether it was the fact that they was born to a wealthy family. If you're born to a wealthy family, it's not going to be hard for you to have your own business or for you to elevate financially because you already got the blueprint from day one. So a lot of these people that you see at the top of the hierarchy, these high rollers in life, a lot of them had certain blueprints that was already given to them, which made it easy for them to execute their goal. And that's what a lot of these successful people will not tell you. It's not always about hard work and grinding and blood, sweat, and tears. It's all about having the odds in your favor. That's what it's about, guys. I always wanted to believe in busting your behind and working hard, and I believe in that. I don't believe no one should be lazy, but I feel like people tell people that they can become whatever they want to be in life, but I feel like everybody don't have the same story. And a lot of these people that's telling you that you can be whatever you want to be and you just got to grind and bust your behind, a lot of those people had things in their favor which made it easy for them to become successful, which made it easy for them to be on the level that they're on. Because a lot of people like to make it seem like I got to where I am in my life on my own merit. But that's not true. In a lot of cases, like a lot of people had things that worked in their favor, which made it easy for them to do what they're doing. And if you don't have, some people was able to execute in a certain, some people was able to execute and become successful because they had the right IQ. Or they may have not have been the smartest person, but they knew the right people. They had the right connections, which got them on. Even though they didn't have the brain power or the skill set, They was affiliated with the right people, which made it easy for them to elevate and become successful. So what I want a lot of people to understand, and I just wish people who were successful could be real and just admit that I didn't necessarily become successful because I worked hard. I had the right odds in my favor, which made it easy for me to get to where I am. But most successful people will never tell you this. They'll make it seem like I just bust my behind. I just bust my behind. I just bust my behind. And that is not the case. They had the odds in their favor, you know. There are some people who was not necessarily the smartest people or the brightest tool in the shed, and they became very successful because of who they knew, who they was affiliated with, or who their parents knew. So just know that when these people tell you that I became successful just because of hard work, they're not telling you that they had the odds in their favor. But you guys make sure you comment. Let me know what you think about this video, because a lot of us have been told, you just got to work hard. You just got to put in that work, man, and you'll get the results. And that's not always the case. That's just not always the case. I mean, but a lot of people like to toot their own horn. They don't want to admit that they had, a certain IQ, or they had the right connections, which made it easy for them to succeed. Most people like to make it seem like, I built this empire from the ground up. And it's not always that. It's not that simple. It's just not that simple. Like, some people had luck on their side. They had the right formula at the right time. They had the right odds in their favor, which made it easy for them to become successful. It wasn't just about hard work. But you guys have a good one. Talk to you soon. Happy Wednesday.